What's up YouTube? How are you doing today? Chana D or Techno Dad here, and in this video we're going to be talking about how LG nerfed the specs on the HDMI 2.1 ports on all 2020 LG TVs, and we're going to check out to see if that's actually something that bothers you and is that something you need to be concerned about. And we're going to check it out right after a word from our sponsor, the Hi-Fi Summit.
Have you ever wanted to attend a hi-fi trade show but couldn't? Now you can. On June 26th to 30th, the Hi-Fi Summit begins. It's going to be a 5-day event available to people worldwide. There you can see your favorite brands and you'll get to see all the new products before anybody else. If you're shopping for products, you can even narrow down your search based on price and other specific criteria. You'll be able to chat live with other audio enthusiasts, ask questions about products and get them answered directly by the companies. You'll be able to vote for best in show. You can even leave testimonials for your favorite brands. Tickets are $49 for all 5 days, but if you sign up in May, you'll be able to get them at $24 for all 5 days. Those with tickets will be able to see show specials, exclusive discounts, as well as entering contest giveaways for some ridiculously awesome prizes, like entire systems. And shout out to OSD, one of our gold sponsors. They have their Travoce 12 800-watt 12-inch powered subwoofer with passive radiators. They're giving away 3 of those. The Nero 2 bass 10-inch powered subwoofer, they have 3 of those to give away. The Nero Dual X8s, they have 3 of those. Nero Studio 5 bookshelf speakers, they got 5 of those, 5 of those. And the Nero Link Wi-Fi stream module, 10 of those. Make sure to check out OSD Black. These guys are making their way into the home theater market, and I think they're doing an awesome job. I'm excited to see what they have to offer. But no trade show is complete without an after party. So we're gonna have Techno Dad spinning every single night. So you'll be able to sit back at home, bump it on your system, go to the HiFiSummit.com, buy your ticket, and let your hi-fi journey to the top begin.
All right, you guys, we're in the last week of discounts for the Hi-Fi Summit. Don't forget to pick up your ticket in the month of May to get 50% off. All right, so let's get into this. Now, in 2019, I purchased a E9 OLED. Okay, that's their more of the premium OLED. Sure, you could have just gotten a C9 and that would have been the same thing, but I got an E9 because I like the look of it and the glass, the picture on glass thing, and it really looks cool. Anyway, bottom line is I got it because it had HDMI 2.1 ports and we've got next gen consoles coming out and I wanted to check out eARC and like all those different things. Now, one of the main reasons people wanted to buy an OLED or any LG TV in 2020 was for the HDMI 2.1. I know a lot of you are asking about HDMI 2.1 on AV receivers and TVs, and people are saying they're waiting. And 2020 was kind of going to be the year where we see more and more HDMI 2.1 ports on TVs. So if you don't know what the spec is for HDMI 2.1 and what it adds, I made a video about it a long time ago, and I will put it in the description and with a card up top. So when we step up to HDMI 2.1, we get more bandwidth. We go from 18 gigabits per second to 48 gigabits per second. Now my LG OLED from last year has that 48 gigabits per second. This year, however, it is nerfed down to 40 gigabits per second. Now there is another thing that correlates in this downgrade of the HDMI 2.1 ports, and that is the price of the OLEDs. That's right, the price of the OLEDs are actually cheaper. So this couldn't be seen as a cost-cutting measure, but at the same time, it's kind of like being a little shady, right? Like they say it's HDMI 2.1, but it's not exactly there. Now, is this 8 gigabytes per second really that big of a deal? To some people, yes. To some people, no. Some people are crying bloody murder, and some people really don't care. I think for most of the PC gaming world, they definitely care about this as they are probably going to be the ones that are most affected. However, if you were trying to buy a TV now that you can, keep for 5 or 6 years, then maybe it could be an issue for you as well. But as far as most people watching movies and TV and streaming and all that kind of stuff, you're probably not going to be affected by this. Now, if you did buy a 2020 LG TV for the new consoles coming out, the PlayStation 5, the Xbox, I don't even know what they're calling it yet. But if you did, then this kind of might be, kind of like a sour spot for you. It's kind of lame. To put it lightly, it's kind of lame. Now, the big thing about that 8 gigabits per second is that it's mainly for 12-bit color. Okay, right now we have no 12-bit color panels for any of these TVs, and we're just in 10-bit colors. So if we think in terms like that, it really isn't that big of a deal. But if you're looking for, the best of the best, and if you're actually looking for an actual HDMI 2.1 spec, 2020 LG TVs just don't have it. So if you were planning on buying an OLED in 2020, specifically for HDMI 2.1, you might want to think about stepping back to 2019 so you can actually get the full 48 Gbps bandwidth of HDMI 2.1. And of course, if you're going to buy any OLEDs, whether they're LG or Sony, pick them up from Value Electronics. I'll put their link down in the description. Robert's got the best service and pricing. And of course, they also have that whole, calibration service as well. So you can get it all calibrated, because I'm sure you're probably not wanting somebody to come to your house right now in all this COVID-19 situation happening. So definitely hit them up if you're going to buy a TV. All right, so let's look at this chart here that pretty much tells us what we need to have bandwidth-wise for all these different resolutions and bit depths and chroma subsampling. So here we have full HD, 1920 by 1080 up to 120 frames per second, 444 color, 8-bit, we need 9 gigabits per second. For 444 color, 10 to 12-bit with HDR, that's what this is, this X right here, we need 18, which is the max of HDMI 2.0 right now. Okay, so let's get into the 4K and ultra high definition. Now, if you say 4K and ultra high definition, wait, aren't those two the same thing? They're actually not. 4K is 4096 by 2160, and we've also heard that being called DCI 4K or digital cinema 4K. And the consumer level 4K is known as UHD, which is 3840 by 2160. So if you didn't know that, you know that now. So here we have UHD and 4K at 24p to 30p. That's frames per second. We have 444, 8-bit, 9 gigabits per second, 444 color, 10 to 12-bit at 18 gigabits per second with HDR. Now, when we get up to the higher frame rates that people were expecting with HDMI 2.1, that's when things start to differ. Now, for 3840 by 2160 ultra high definition, up to 120 frames per second, we are getting 444 color, 8-bit, 32 gigabits per second. But what we have right now is 444 10-bit with HDR, 40 gigabits per second. And that is what LG has downgraded the TVs from last year. We can see from the chart, we get 444 chroma, 12-bit color, HDR, and that will take up the full bandwidth, 48 gigabits per second. It looks to me like the only difference between 2019 and 2020 LG TVs is this 8 gigabits per second. And I don't know if it's going to be a big deal breaker for you. It could be, it could not be. So that's something you definitely have to weigh if you're looking at a 2020 OLED or one of their LED TVs. Now, if we move down to 8K, as we know, HDMI 2.1 does support 8K and 10K. We're seeing again, 444, 10-bit color, HDR is going to take up 40 Gbps of bandwidth, whereas 444 12-bit with HDR is going to take up 48 Gbps of bandwidth. So why did LG do this? Cost saving measure. Since we don't have 12-bit panels, why give everybody the access to all that bandwidth if there is nothing that's actually going to take advantage of that bandwidth in the TV? I guess that was their thinking. Kind of makes sense. But then there's this whole thing of being shady and not telling anybody about it until somebody actually reached out to LG saying, hey, one of my viewers only notices 40 Gbps of bandwidth, and what's that about? And LG got back to him saying, oh yeah, all our TVs, HDMIs are 40 instead of 48 Gbps, and that's just the way it is. So consider it not HDMI 2.1 or pseudo HDMI 2.1 or 2.1 kind of. Technically, it's not HDMI 2.1. However, it has everything of HDMI 2.1 except for that 8 Gbps that separates it from actually being HDMI 2.1. So you decide. You tell me, what do you guys think? Is this a big deal? Is this not a big deal? Are you like a hardcore gamer that was looking at a 48-inch OLED this year to plug into your computer and, have some crazy, 4 video card setup that can actually take advantage of, 4K 120 frames per second. Let me know down in the comments if this is something that is actually a problem. For those of you that don't think that's a problem, let me know that too. Do you think LG should have stated that it's, HDMI 2.1 with a little asterisk by it? And then like down at the bottom of the page, it says, HDMI 2.1 throughput is 40 Gbps instead of 48 Gbps. Should they have told us that to begin with? What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. Well, I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, if you have any questions about any of this or anything else, hit me up on social or email or whatever you like to do. Now, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Once again, my name is Chana D. I'm your Techno Dad, and I'll see you next time.
Beep.